So one thing that you might have wondered about at least once in your lifetime is that why are the dumbest people achieving and winning at life, even more so than the people who actually have higher IQ levels? Now, I don't mean to call anyone dumb or even clever for that thing. However, the people with lower IQ levels, and what I refer to when I say people with lower IQ levels, I basically mean the ones who, for example, achieve less at school in their early lives, at school, and then maybe even later at college if they go to college and whatever. And when you compare these people to the people who actually get straight A's and higher marks and maybe join a great college and get a degree, these people don't achieve as much as you anticipate them to do, and the lower IQ people achieve more. So I'll share with you today 5 basic reasons why I think this is the case. So the first thing that I want to be mentioning here is that the lower your IQ levels, basically, the less you're aware of your limitations and the less you're actually able to assess the situation and calculate the risk of taking a certain action. And the more clever you are, the more you're aware of your boundaries and your limitations and even your capabilities, which basically means that you will be constantly assessing whether or not you can or cannot achieve a certain goal and succeed at a certain task. So the more clever you are, the more you will be thinking, wait, can I make this one work? Or could things go wrong? So what are the risks of taking this action versus the risks of not taking it? And the more you think things through like this, the less you will be willing to actually start taking any action. So that's why the lower IQ people, who are usually not aware of their capabilities because they can't know better, they don't even think about it. They just take action. They take the action and then let things happen. And they find out whether or not it works once they have started actually taking the action. While the more clever people are constantly thinking about it. Wait, what if this couldn't work? Wait, what if things went wrong? Let me assess the risk of doing this action. Let me build a system. Let me optimize the system. Let me prove that the system works. Let me do trial and error. And all these steps, which all of them delay the actual actions that if they were to take, they might well have a big chance of actually succeeding. So that's a huge one. Now, let me move on to the second reason that I think is very practical actually. And that is that the lower IQ people learn early in life that they can't rely on their intelligence. So what do I mean by this? Now, when these people are attending school, for example, and they see that the other students are all achieving more, they are getting straight A's, while him or her are basically failing, and they see that their colleagues are constantly getting higher marks, making their families proud and everything, while these lower IQ people, if we were to call them that, aren't doing so, and they are not able to achieve such high marks even if they try their best. So at that moment, they think things through. They say, okay, so I should know that if I am to rely on my intelligence in life, I'll probably not be achieving as much as I would like to. And what happens there is that these people, these lower IQ people who end up achieving less at school, actually find out that they will have to find alternatives. and they will look for alternatives and try to make other things in life work. And by this, I mean that these people who now know they can't be, they aren't that bright, basically. These people start, for example, getting into sales. They start stacking skills. So they start trying things and getting better at certain skills, be it soft skills or any other type of skills, and they start stacking these skills very early on. And the earlier you start, the more time you have for any trial and error, for any failure that you might face at some point to recover from. So basically, the earlier you start, the better. And the more clever people, or smart asses basically, they achieve more at school, for example. And when they do that, they rely on it and they continue doing so, getting straight A's, making their families proud. However, when they do that and they continue to do that, so they end up basically becoming good at one thing, which is, for example, studying and getting good marks, okay? And just a few skills that they need to go by school. However, they don't get the real life skills that they will end up needing the most. While the people who achieved less in school and in the school system and so on, actually learned early on that they can't rely on this, so they went and found an alternative and made the alternative work and basically got into the real world, doing things. Work, for example, trying different jobs, trying different side hustles, trying different business models or whatever it is. And they started stacking them skills, which led them to literal success. So that's another huge reason that makes lower IQ people more likely to achieve more in life, because they have started early on. Now, the third reason that I want to mention is that these lower IQ people usually stop later. Now, what I mean by this is that the clever people, and the more clever someone is, the more they are likely to basically, when they face some difficulty while trying to pursue something, be it anything, like it doesn't have to be only work. Maybe they are trying to get a visa for a certain country. Maybe they are trying to hook up with someone. Maybe they are trying to get into a certain social circle. Or maybe they are trying to apply for some degree, or trying a business venture, or applying for a certain job, or whatever it is that they're trying to do. When these higher IQ people face their first failure, or things don't go as planned, they start rethinking everything instantly. So they basically start thinking, okay, let me reassess the situation. Let me stop here. Things aren't working the way it is, and let me try something else. For example, and this is the leader of the high IQ people, Einstein. Einstein has actually said that the dumbest thing is to try the same thing and expect different outcomes. Now, that's wrong, Einstein. In the real world, the normal thing is that you try something and it doesn't work. And the best thing that you can do is to try that same thing again. And it could work. It could work. In business, it could work. In everything. In science, maybe that's his realm. It doesn't. But in the real world, you're better off if you just try again, usually. However, the clever people, the bright people, the intelligent ones, don't do so. They instantly stop, rethink, and try to come up with a better system, improve the system, restart everything, refresh, start from the beginning, which is the wrong thing to do. What do the lower IQ people do? Well, they don't know better. They don't even know what's wrong. They aren't able to comprehend what they are doing wrong that doesn't help them succeed at whatever it is that they're trying to succeed at. So they end up just trying again because they only believe in putting in more effort because they don't have a better alternative. Even if they were to try and come up with a better way to do things to save their lives, they can't do so because they don't know better. And that's a great thing about having a lower IQ. So this is a huge one, by the way, because really the lower IQ people stop later. They try again and again, and somewhere at that it starts clicking, as it does. Now there are many other reasons that this phenomenon exists. You might have thought about many just while I'm mentioning the couple of ones that I just did. However, one more that I want to mention is that when failure hits, it hits the smarter people harder because it's new. So if you are someone with a higher IQ level, if you have been achieving at school, at your early life, and you've basically been a successful guy, you know, if you've been like that and you succeed at school, you get straight A's, you get good marks, you go to a good college, you make your family proud, and you get a great degree. If you're that person, and then by the age of, say, 23, you try some business venture that you've been thinking about, and somewhere along those, you fail. You face your first failure. Now, when you do that, you will be heartbroken. It will break your heart because you've never faced a failure in your lifetime. It is your first time to do so. And this might actually break you to the point of no return, basically. However, if you are someone with a lower IQ level who is already aware that failure is something that happens because he has been failing his entire lifetime at school and afterwards. So if you're that person, it's nothing new. You've been failing right, left, and center, and you've become accustomed to it. You are aware, most importantly, you are aware that failing doesn't mean that you aren't good enough. It doesn't. You have learned as a lower IQ person that failure should be detached from your personality. If you fail at something, it doesn't mean that you aren't good enough. It doesn't mean that. It just might mean that you should try harder. Maybe it means that you actually have to rethink something and make a change and then try again. However, the lower IQ people do this, while the higher IQ people, or the clever ones, instantly think, okay, this didn't work. What's wrong with me? Am I not good enough? That's what they think instantly, because this failure thing is new to them. They haven't faced it before. They haven't detached their self-worth or intrinsic value from what they achieve at life. They have always been like this successful guy who doesn't fail, and when they face their first failure at a later age than the lower IQ people, they get their hearts broken, and sometimes they give up. And giving up will ensure that there is no way in hell these people succeed. So that's a huge reason. Now, I don't want to make this video too long. I hope that either it be you consider yourself on this spectrum or that one. You have rethought certain things that you've been doing in your life. And I hope that if there's a certain action that you've been delaying or rethinking too much, that you actually start thinking about implementing. And I'll give you a bit more about that in a bit, but let me discuss the final reason that I have for higher IQ people achieving less in life. And that is basically that the lower IQ people usually know that whatever they want to achieve in life, they will have to put in the effort for. So there's no easy way to do things. There's no easy way to do things. They will basically have to try achieving the same thing, okay? And try again and again, put in more effort, try harder, for example. And at some point, things will click. That's what the lower IQ people know for a fact. However, if you are someone with higher IQ level and you've been basically achieving more at life in your early lifetime, you will build a sense of entitlement. So you'll basically think that, okay, I've been putting in the effort in my studies. I have been a good student. I have been achieving great marks. I went to a great college, mate, and I could achieve whatever I want in terms of my studies and my degree and everything related to that. However, when it comes to the reality of it all, you have also built a sense of entitlement, meaning I'm a good student, I've been studying and all those, so I deserve to achieve in life. Things deserve to happen to me just because I've studied a few years and I could have been worse. And since I have done this action and that action and the other one, I deserve to be successful. I deserve opportunities to rain at me. I deserve to get stuff for me. And that's not how life works, mate. In life, the other route is the more sure one. You will actually have to put in the effort, as if the effort that you're putting in is everything, and you aren't entitled for anything, mate. No one is coming to save you. And guess who learns that the earliest? The lower IQ people. The lower IQ people know for a fact that no one is there to save them, and nothing will change just because they want it to, and they will have to actually put in the effort and try again and again and again until things actually click and they aren't entitled for anything. That's why if you are a lower IQ people, actually you should be proud of yourself. And if you think that you really can't succeed at a certain action that you've been delaying, the one that I just talked about, well, what are you waiting for? I just talked about it. If there's a certain business that you've been delaying to start, or any venture that you are constantly thinking about what could go wrong, what could go right, you're basically doing it the wrong way. You're doing it the wrong way while you think that you are doing the good stuff. And I hope that if you are stuck somewhere along those lines, I hope that you start actually taking action on it and trying and seeing whether or not it will work. You won't lose anything, mate. The worst thing that could happen and you could face is that you will face your first failure. And guess what? That's a great thing to happen to you. So whatever it is that you want to pursue in life, I wish you good luck. And if you like such content, I wanted this to be authentic and even in one go. I don't know what has gone wrong or right, but if you like this stuff, subscribe to this channel and let's connect on my social media.